Hello friends, today we are going to see one game which is really insane. This is played in the spirit of the romantic era of chess and the players are quite modern, you can say. Well, one of them is a veteran. Mitchell Krasenkow is playing with the white pieces, who is 57 years old, against R. Praggnanandhaa, who is our India's brightest star, who is just 15 years old. So the difference between the two players is 42 years. That's completely amazing. And the way Krasenkow has played in this game is really awesome. Hats off to this legend, guys, because he has shown that age is just a number. You can play enterprising chess at any point, and he kept on going in this game. He found out resources after resources, and then he made game such a complicated one that Praggnanandhaa in the end just failed for the complication. So we are going to go to the straight to the game, but before we go further, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you are new here, and if you really like this game, then consider it sharing with your friends also. So here Krasenkow was white. He played knight of 3, and one more thing I would like to tell you that Praggnanandhaa was already ahead in this match situation. He has already won the game. So Krasenkow needs to win this game on demand. If he wins this game, then he will force the tie breaks, and tie breaks are going to happen in the third round of World Cup. So here he plays d5, okay, d4, knight f6, d4 was played by Krasenkow, d captures c4, knight comes on the c3 square, a6. Well, Praggnanandhaa shows that okay, he is going to protect the pawn with b5, and Praggnanandhaa shows that he is going to protect the pawn on c4, okay, by playing b5 here. So here he plays e4, grabbing the center. He's saying like, okay, you want to protect the pawn, hold on to the pawn. b5 was Praggnanandhaa plays here. e5 was played. Knight comes on d5 square, and now he pressurizes the pawn on b5 with a4 move. If you push the pawn, obviously here knight e4 is one of the ideas. Then bishop into c4 is going to come, and white will regain the pawn. Plus the center is also there with the white pieces. So here he did not go for this thing. He played e6. And now a captures b5. Black cannot really capture on b5 because of one obvious reason, that rook into a8 is coming. So that's not something going to happen. He plays bishop to b4. Okay, he is pinning this knight, and the threats are also real. Like now, knight into c3, b into c3, bishop into c3, followed by the rook on a1 will be hanging. For example, if you play like something like this, the knight into c3, b into c3, bishop into c3, check is there. And if you play bishop d2, then bishop into a3, a1 will be played. So it's not a good idea. So here he plays queen c2, supporting the knight on c3, then knight b6. Well, the pawn on c4 was hanging. You can see like bishop was going to capture on c4, so he supports the pawn, and now a good move, queen to e4, putting some pressure over here. The point is, if you capture a into b5, then rook into a8 is the move, knight into a8, and then queen into a8. So the piece will be lost. So there is no time from black side to capture the pawn on b5. Okay, so black plays queen d5, means Praggnanandhaa plays queen d5, going for the queen exchanges and neutralizing the position. He said like, okay, I'm not going to neutralize the position, I'm going to play queen g4, attacking the pawn on g7, and here finally he plays a captures b5. Now what to do? Rooks are in front of each other, so he exchanges the rook. Okay, knight into a8 was also possible, but why to give the chance to your opponent, right? So he goes queen into a8, and now queen captures g7. The pawn is lost. The rook on h8 is hanging. What to do? Well, Praggnanandhaa says like, okay, I'm going to play bishop into c3, b into c3, and from this movement onwards, the crazy game starts. Yes, here Praggnanandhaa says like, okay, you want to capture the rook on h8, right? Okay, capture it. I'm going to play queen a1, and I'm going to capture on c1, because Praggnanandhaa needs just a draw in this position. If he manages to just give the perpetual check, then it's a draw. Now he captures the rook, which is a free rook. But okay, the c1 bishop is also something which is hanging. So if he tries to play king d1, which he did not play, but then we have queen a4 check, king d2 will be played, then again queen a2 check, and if you play king e1, of course he can play queen to b1, and the same thing is there, but the right for the castling is lost. Like white cannot really castle in this situation, correct? So that is something which Praggnanandhaa was expecting, but Krasenkow said that I am going to fight in this game, and I am going to give up this bishop just like that, because already I got this thing. So I am exchange up in this situation. Okay, you can see like 1 2 3 4 pieces are there from the black side. White is having 5 pieces. He has a rook on h1, so he is practically exchange up. The only thing is that black is having some more pawns on this side of the board. Okay, fair enough. He plays bishop e2. Now queen into c1 check. Bishop comes in between. Queen c3 check. One pawn is lost. Knight d2. He's again giving the pawn on d4 also. If he captures the pawn on d4, which was not actually played in the, you are wasting some time. And then queen into h7 is a possibility. Queen e5, definitely you can give a check. Knight e4 will be played, and then he can go for the castling in this situation. That's the main idea in this case. Okay, and that will also be very interesting to see how he is going to play. If knight c6, then I think like castling is one of the ideas, and the position is still very crazy. Like these pawns are proceeding forward, then these pawns are also going forward. I don't know why he did not go for queen d4. It was definitely one of the ideas in the situation. Okay, fine, he did not go for queen into d4. He said like, okay, my knight should come in the game, so he played knight c6. Anyhow, the pawn on d4 is hanging, and the b4, b5, b4, b3, b2 is still the threat on the board. He captures the pawn on h7, and he says like, okay, I also have a passed pawn in this situation. Okay, knight captures d4, which was the case. Queen into f7, the pawn was hanging. He captures the pawn. King goes to c6 square. What on earth is happening here? Right, the king is just moving for. Okay, now I feel like the king was not that safe on this square, but on c6 it's much more safer. He goes to this square. He plays queen f4. Well, queen f4 was a little bit inaccurate move here. Knight d5 was played in the game, but instead of queen f4, let's see, he had another option also to play h4. The point of h4 here is not just to push the pawn, but another idea is also that the rook can come on the third rank. This is the very important point. Let's suppose you play b4, which is a very viable option. Then white has this rook h3 move, and he will bring the rook in the game, and he will start defending the position. Of course, h5 will come eventually on the board, but at least white is having some resources to defend in this situation. But okay, he plays queen f4 in this position, and the real fun again. It starts. Knight d5. The queen is being attacked. What to do? He plays queen e4. Okay, now king c5. The knight was pinned, so he needs to unpin the knight, so he plays king c5. But instead of this, maybe he could have played b4 and tried to get more chances here. But okay, h4 is always the option. This is like the pawn race. Both sides will be trying to queen the pawn, and then whoever queens the first, we will see that he is going to win the game. Now if b3 is played, rook h3 is obviously one of the options here. Queen a1, and then knight into c4 will be played. Okay, you can play b2, but I can always just sacrifice it. And the thing is that the king on c6 must be feeling the heat in this situation, because if you play b2, then knight a3 is there, by which we can support the b1 square, means you can protect the. You can see the idea of rook h3 is now working here. Knight a3, and everything is stopped. Suddenly black doesn't have any counterplay, and the game will be lost for him. So it is a very double-edged situation. Okay, double-edged situation. You cannot really say that okay, this was winning or not. But he plays king c5. Okay, king c5, and then he goes for h4. He's saying like, I am going to queen my pawn. Okay, bishop b7, bringing the bishop in the game. h5, going for the pawn queen. Okay, I'm going to queen the pawn. He plays knight b4. Okay, the queen is attacked. What to do? Can you guess the move which white played in this position? I was live streaming and I was looking at this position, and the move which he played in this position, I was completely blown up. I did not even understand why did he play it for the first time. Then after some thought, I said, oh my god, he is doing that thing. So the thing is that Praggnanandhaa is attacking the queen on e4. He played castling in this situation. Who plays castling, man? He is playing as if nothing is happening on the board. I really love this move, castling. The point is like, if you capture the queen here, you will be losing the piece. The check will happen, and then this check, and you can count the material. White will be one rook up, plus this pawn is just moving forward. So it is just amazing move, castle. Cool blooded, like he is like very cool person. So queen into d4, queen into b7. Now c7 pawn is being attacked, but he says like, okay, knight d5, the pawn on c7 is supported, and now he goes for h6 move, and down c3, h7. The both pawns are just racing towards the queening square, but now this pawn needs to be stopped, because even if you play c2, I can just capture here, and then h8 pawn will be queening. So that's not something which you want to do. He plays queen to h6. Praggnanandhaa is saving everything. Queen a7 check comes, king c4, bishop g4. Another fighting move. He is saying like, okay, You want to win, you go for the win, but I am going to complicate the situation. There were other options which were kind of equal, but the option was queen 8, a2 check, queen will go back, and queen a7. There was a draw, but he doesn't want a draw in this situation. He wants to play for the win, so he plays bishop to g4. Okay, c2 was played, queen a2 check, king b4, and then queen b2 check, king c4, rook e1. Okay, he is activating the rook. The pawn on h7 is hanging, but he should have captured the pawn on h7. But as they say, like, you try to do something extra in the position, this pawn is not that much harmless, right? The queen is there, but here in this situation he plays knight to f4, and this is the mistake, biggest mistake from Praggnanandhaa. And the 57 years old young man spotted the tactic here. Maybe he thought like rook e4 will be played and he will be winning after knight h3 check. This is a very important move, bishop into h3, and the pawn will be winning in that case. If you capture here, the check is coming, so if you play this, the queen will go back and then he will capture the pawn, and black will be winning in that case. But the problem is here, white is very smart. Krasenkow played h8 queen, and now if you capture here, then rook will come on e4 square, and there is no, if you play this thing, I'll just capture c1. It is not having any support over here because the queen is missing on h6. Amazing tactic, and that's how he lost the piece over here. One of the piece is going to be lost, so he plays c5, rook into f4, and queen e5. Okay, the rest is just a matter of technique, but he converted the game very easily. Now here in this position, this is the class, guys. This is the class which shows like the player is amazing. He plays rook into d4 check, queen into d4, and he captures the pawn, simplifying the position into the endgame, which is clearly winning for you. Queen comes here, king comes here, queen into d4, king into d4, and now he starts pushing pawn. Praggnanandhaa gave in this position after f4, f3, because he cannot really do anything. Even if you push the pawn, the bishop will come back. If you play this thing, then king f2, and this is just a matter of technique. You will just bring the king up, push the pawn, because these pawns are not going anywhere. So amazing game, guys, amazing. I really love this game, the way they played. It is just like the way like 100 years ago players used to play. They used to just attack and attack and attack. I hope you love this game. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and you can share this game with your friends also, and they will also enjoy. See you then in the next lecture, next video. Till that moment, take care, goodbye, and love you all.